Every time you click on a video, something happens in your brain that you didn't consciously choose. This video is about that. And I want to be upfront with you from the start. I used that mechanism to get you here. The title you clicked on was designed deliberately. Every word chosen to create a specific feeling in you before you even knew what the video was about. That's not a confession, but it is the subject of today's video. Before we move on, I want to show you something. Here's 12 thumbnails. I'll ask you one question. I'm not going to answer till the end. What do all these have in common? The attention economy is something most of us can easily understand in the abstract, and we know that nearly all content's optimized for engagement. We know platforms reward clicks. We all heard the slot machine metaphor. But understanding something in the abstract and feeling how it works on you in real time in your own nervous system, those are very different things. And that's what this video is going to do. Let me explain. In 1994, a psychologist at Carnegie Mellon named George Loewenstein, he published a paper on the nature of curiosity. His argument was pretty simple. He said curiosity arises not from a desire to know, but from an awareness of not knowing. So it's the gap between what we have and what we sense is available that's actually driving us. So he basically said it's not the knowledge itself, but the absence of the knowledge. And he called it the information gap. He noted something else that's kind of important. He said the larger the gap, the more discomfort we feel. Not excitement, but discomfort. So in his model, curiosity is closer to an itch than a joy. Every title that withholds the subject is exploiting this gap. Examples like, "What happened next will shock you. This changed everything." In these titles, the word "this" is doing a lot of heavy lifting. It's pointing at something that's just out of your reach, and then it asks your nervous system whether or not to close that perceived distance. So the click's not really a choice, it's a relief. Loewenstein's research was academic, but it was discovered, or should I say rediscovered, and popularized by the early content farms of the internet and then by YouTube. And now it runs through almost every piece of content that's designed to be clicked rather than sought out. This video opened with a gap. Look at the thumbnails you saw at the start. I haven't answered that question yet. A second mechanism is less about information and more about belonging. So these are titles like "They don't want you to know this," or "What the mainstream won't tell you." They're not really making a claim about the content. They're making a claim about your identity. To click on a video like that is to position yourself as someone who gets it, someone who isn't fooled. Your click is a small act of self-definition. This is mostly evolutionary because we're deeply attuned to in-group and out-group signals. Information that positions us as insiders, as people who know something others don't, activates the same neural pathways as social belonging. So we click not just to learn, but to feel like we're part of something. The irony, of course, is that millions of people are clicking the same video to feel like individuals who aren't part of the crowd. In the 1950s, B.F. Skinner conducted a series of experiments that would prove quietly catastrophic for the attention economy that hadn't even yet been invented. He put some pigeons in boxes. These boxes had levers. When they pressed the lever, food came out. So when the box had the lever that produced food every time, the pigeon pressed it at a measured rate, which was basically just enough to eat. But when the food started appearing randomly, the pigeon started getting a little compulsive with it. They started pressing the lever all the time, frantically, even when it didn't produce any food at all. He called it the variable reward. So the uncertainty, that was the thing. It wasn't the reward itself at all. You might have figured it out by now, but your YouTube homepage is a Skinner box. The scroll's the lever. The variable is whether the next video is going to be worth watching. You don't know. And that not knowing is precisely what makes it difficult to stop. This is not a flaw in the design, it is the design. What makes clickbait particularly effective within this system is that it mimics the signal that a reward's coming without committing to even actually delivering one. So this title promises you a resolution. Sometimes the video provides it. More often it doesn't. By then you've already watched enough to count as a view. The gap between the promise and the payoff is where this economy lives. There is a specific facial expression that has become the visual grammar of YouTube thumbnails. Mouth open, eyes wide, eyebrows raised. It's a universal human signal. Something unexpected has occurred. Human brains, they're shaped by hundreds of thousands of years of social survival. So we can't ignore a face that's displaying that "oh no" signal. This is not manipulation in the pejorative sense, at least. It's exploitation of something much older than YouTube. It's our evolved tendency to orient toward novelty and potential threat, especially when it's signaled by another human face. This is a faceless channel. There's no thumbnail face here. But the absence of that device doesn't mean the absence of that mechanism. It just means the mechanism migrates into the title, the framing, into the first sentence of the description, whatever else. Every piece of content that competes for attention is using some version of these tools. The question is not whether to use them. It's whether what you're leading people toward is worth the attention that you've asked them to spend. A study in 2018 from MIT tracked the spread of true and false information on Twitter across more than a decade of data. False stories spread faster, further, and more broadly than true ones, and the primary driver was not bots or algorithms, but human sharing behavior. The content that spread fastest was content that provoked outrage or anxiety, not joy and not wonder. Threat. This is not a pathology. Our nervous systems evolved in environments where threats demand faster responses than opportunities. So the brain that paused to verify before reacting did not survive. We are, in a very literal sense, wired for alarm. Content creators didn't invent this. They found it. And the ones who learned to activate it, even subtly, even in titles that merely imply threat rather than state it, found that their content moved differently through the network. Knowing this doesn't make us immune to it, but it changes the quality of our attention when we encounter it. I do want to come back to this video for a moment. Everything described in the last 5 chapters, curiosity gap, tribal signal, variable reward, negativity asymmetry, I used all of it, not cynically but deliberately. The title withholds its full meaning until you already clicked. The opening established a question I haven't answered. The framing positioned this as something worth understanding, which activated, maybe gently, your sense that there was something at stake, because you didn't know it. I want to be precise about what I mean when I say I use the mechanisms. I don't mean that I tricked you. I mean I worked within the same systems that every piece of content works within. These systems are how attention moves. The alternative isn't a title that doesn't use mechanisms. The alternative is a title that nobody clicks on. A video no one watches cannot offer anyone anything. There's a question underneath all that. What's the cost of the click? Not to you, but to the one that's repeated billions of times every day. Every time a mechanism works, so that's every time a curiosity gap's opened and somebody clicks, the system learns a little bit. The algorithm updates a little bit. The creator receives a signal that the approach worked. The next piece of content's going to be shaped by that. So we're not actually passive consumers. We're the architects. Every click is a vote. You're voting for what the next version of the attention economy looks like. Pretty heavy. Attention's not infinite, so this is pretty obvious. The implications of it are rarely examined, though. William James, back in 1890, called attention the taking possession by the mind in clear and vivid form of one of what seem several simultaneously possible objects or trains of thought. So William understood it as inherently selective. When you attend one thing, you can't attend another. So what we call the attention economy is, at its most basic, a competition for a resource that is unreplenishable. Once an hour of attention is gone, it's gone. You can't spend it again. The mechanisms that we've been examining in the video are not simply annoying features of the internet. These are tools for extracting a finite resource from a population that largely does not even know that it's being extracted from. The extraction tends towards the anxious, the tribal, and the incomplete. The curiosity gap keeps you in a state of mild unresolution. The variable reward keeps you returning. The negativity bias keeps your nervous system slightly elevated. When you look back, none of this is comfortable. These conditions are so normalized that the discomfort's largely invisible at this point. I want to be careful. I don't want to turn this into some conspiracy theory thing. The people who built these systems were not primarily motivated maliciously. They're motivated by the same things most people are motivated by: engagement, growth, satisfaction of building something that works, and mostly revenue. So the problem's not the malice. The problem's that the metrics that matter, the clicks, views, and watch time, they're not the same as the metrics that would indicate genuine human interaction. And these systems continue to optimize for what's measurable. So there are creators and platforms that are making different choices. They're choosing to build things that earn attention rather than extract it. And this distinction, not as a moral judgment on those who do otherwise, but as a description of what kind of relationships being offered. Earned attention is attention that's given freely with awareness because it's something worth paying attention to. Extracted attention is attention that's taken through manipulation. These are systems that the viewer did not design and do not see. The difference is real. It's worth knowing which one that you're experiencing. I promised you an answer at the beginning with the 12 thumbnails. You already know. What they all have in common is that not one of them describes what the video contains. Every single one of them describes what the viewer is supposed to feel. You won't believe, this will shock you, I can't believe this, what they don't want you to know. Again, they're not making promises about the information in the video. They're making promises about emotional states. Emotional states are, as it turns out, much easier to promise than information. Because whether you feel shocked, that's subjective. And the creator bears no real accountability for whether you do. So therefore, the promise is unfalsifiable. That's not by accident. The question this raises for anybody making content and anybody watching content is what it means to make a different kind of promise. It's one that commits to something real, understanding the particular quality of attention that comes from sitting with something difficult long enough to actually think it through. Those things are harder to promise in a title. They don't activate the same neural pathways. They're going to get fewer clicks. But they're the kind of promise that you can actually keep. You've been here for a while. I don't know, 10 minutes or so? I used the mechanisms, but I tried to make them worth using. I wanted to show you. I'll let you decide. If this kind of thinking is something that you like, this channel's here. Subscribe. Thanks so much for watching.